Hey guys, welcome to episode 57 with my very special guests Corinne Fisher and Krystyna Hutchinson from the Guys We Fucked podcast. These two are absolutely hilarious. They are comedians and now co-authors and co-hosts of their super cool podcast. Guys We Fucked is an anti-slut-shaming podcast. They talk about all sorts of things, sexual and non-sexual. It's a really fun show, and I had such a blast speaking with them. As of this recording, this episode will release on Monday, but tonight, Sunday, they are performing a sold-out show at the Comedy Store on the main stage, which is absolutely fantastic. And their book, Fucked, is on shelves everywhere you find books and available on Amazon, as well as an audio version that's available there. So definitely check that out, guys. I really would love you to please leave a rating and review for this show. It helps the show gain rank on Apple Podcasts and all the places that podcasts appear. So when you're checking out the show, it's really easy. Just pull up the app and go to ratings and reviews. And please just leave me a little note to let me know what you think about the show. You love it, you hate it, just drop me a little note. I would really appreciate it, and it really helps me out. Also, the Friend or Faux Patreon is live and going strong, so please go to patreon.com/friend or faux. Of course, that's FAUX. And I'm going to stop talking your ear off here and get to the episode. Here we go with number 57 with Corinne Fisher and Krystyna Hutchinson of Guys We Fucked.
This is the Jabberjaw Podcast Network.
All right, so I don't even know where to begin on this. I'm so excited. First of all, let me say, I'm not worthy. I suck. I'm scum.
No. My favorite comedy
are,
movie. Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's an absolute classic.
It is.
I always want to headbang, but I always forget that my listeners can't see half the things I do on the show because it's all
Totally.
audio.
Yeah.
So, I'm so much an exhibitionist, and I want them to see everything. But so let's do the official introductions. Here we go. Comedians, co-authors, amazing podcasters, Corinne Fisher and Krystyna Hutchinson.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
We are atop the one of my favorite places in the entire galaxy, Meltdown Comics, in the Nerdist podcast booth.
This is so cool to see. I've heard of this place for so long, and it's so cool to be here.
It's famous. It's
Yeah,
infamous.
it is.
For sure. As are you.
Thank you.
You guys are all over the place. You're doing it all tomorrow. You've got a sold out show at the Comedy Store across the street. Tell me about that.
Oh,
How you feeling?
Really good. LA, I love coming to LA to do shows. The crowd here is always so good. And the main room of the Comedy Store is like one of the most magical places on the planet. And especially the green room back there.
Yeah.
Because so many famous comedians that I look up to
Jizzed
did
all over the
cocaine
walls,
or jizz all over that green room. But yeah, we're really excited. We're amped. We're going to have our friends who have been on the podcast who are also stand-ups do stand-up sets. And we're going to do stand-up sets. And we're going to talk at you. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. You're going to have books in the lobby?
We're going to have books being sold, and we could sign them, and we can say hi and take pics.
We're going to pre-sign them, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got to get there. Oh, I'm glad you reminded me.
6:30 p.m. Don't worry. I told my manager's assistant, don't let me forget.
Okay, good. Yeah.
He's my other brain.
Speaking of which, shouts to your awesome publicist, Jennifer, who has gone back and forth with me and back and forth and back and forth
She's
to get
an
you in here.
angel.
So, yeah, she really is. I really appreciate all of her efforts because I drove her totally nuts.
Oh, she's great. Imprint PR, baby. That's where it's at.
She didn't let us know that you were annoying her, so she's a great
Okay.
She's
publicist.
so
Okay,
good.
that's good. Yeah.
She's honestly, I've never had a publicist in my life, but she's the best.
Yeah.
Out of all the publicists we've worked with,
She
we like
just
her
does everything
most.
perfect. Like, she has the perfect tone with shit, and she can be like bossy when she has to be, and it's so impressive because she's such a sweet person, and
Yeah.
I like her a lot.
I had a publicist very briefly, and it wasn't great. It did not go well.
I've heard a lot of bad
It did not
experiences
go well
with
at all.
publicists, and it's I think it's common. Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
paying less than like $3,000 a month, you probably
Yeah.
don't have a good
Yeah, yeah.
publicist.
Which is that's another
You'll
thing
get
I
a
didn't
picture
know.
on the back of Frosted Flakes, maybe, like
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
corner,
yeah.
and that's
which is insane. The price. I mean, that's the most money you'll spend in,
Yeah,
in the business, I think.
it's
If I
pretty
was paying in
ridiculous.
rent when I paid the publicist, I would live in a mansion probably.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
gotta say, even though it is expensive she's doing such a good job, it's worth it. I never thought I'd say that, but she's great, man.
Yeah. Corinne, I was reading something about, or in a previous episode of Guys We Fucked, you were talking about your dog cock blocking you, and I just had one of these situations. It's a real problem, honestly.
You have a dog?
Just like, yes.
You sounded
No, dogs just cock block me for no
she's,
reason.
She's adorable and completely neurotic. Her name is Maggie May.
Aw.
She is a Norfolk Terrier, and she just
Oh.
went. We just took her all over the place yesterday and ran her out. We thought she was going to be nice and tired today, so she would just like nap all day.
Chill.
Not a chance.
Maggie May
running
wasn't
out,
having that.
bouncing all over the house, and morning fun time is always great when it happens. But there was some
Oh.
intimate heat happening.
I thought you
and
meant
she-
playing with the dog, and then I realized you meant sex.
You was trying to
Yeah.
fuck, and the dog was like,
That's
"No,
right.
we're gonna play."
Yeah, right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I
like
mean, you
licking
just have
her
to be
face.
confident enough to to bring
To
the
just
dog
keep going.
outside
Right.
and then let the dog cry.
That's just not the kind of doggy style I enjoy, though. I'd just rather go full on, you know. I gotta have some jokes.
no,
I'm-
it's really good.
I'm no comedian.
I love
You
when
guys
I
are the
realize a
professionals.
pun like a couple seconds it takes me, and I'm like, "Wait,
Oh, I see.
clever."
Who is someone that you haven't had on the show that you'd still like to?
Kesha.
Kesha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You sounded disgusted.
No.
And
only
surprised.
slightly.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was before all of the stuff came out about her sexual assault. She's been my number one. I mean, maybe is she your number one too?
I mean,
Beyonce,
Beyonce,
I was
obviously,
gonna
but like
say.
that's not gonna happen. And I'm a positive person, but like I'm also realistic in certain aspects. I would want to honestly. Lately, I've really been wanting to interview like Louis C.K. I've been wanting because we knew about that shit years before
Of
us did
course.
most of the comedy community. But like, I want to talk to somebody on the other side and try and understand what the fuck
Really-
is going on in their head.
Really get to the nitty gritty.
I really wanted to do Bill O'Reilly's podcast because he, I think he's a scumbag, but also I would love to just figure out what the fuck makes him tick and what happened to him that shaped him into the person he is today. I like talking to people I don't agree with and figuring out why they are the way they are.
I do too.
Yeah.
I really like going deep and getting all in there, and just, figuring out the cogs of their mind clock.
Yeah.
You guys started out as you started with a UCB improv show, right?
We had a 2-woman show at UCB.
It was not improv.
It wasn't
though.
improv. It was a stage show, like a
Okay.
hour or half hour.
I think it was half hour because
Half
banks
hour.
have to be half hour.
That's right. Yeah. That was just sketches, basically, that we wrote. When we first were a comedy duo in 2010, we produced and hosted stand-up shows in there's this place called Gotham City Improv, and I would steal or get donated, but I lied about the cause, bottles of vodka from my work because everyone who worked at my work at the time was very rich. So I was like, you could afford to give vodka to a poor kid, and we would make punch and we would collect donations.
Jungle juice.
Juice, yeah, and then to make money, and yeah, we liked weird shit. We still do, and so we had these fun. We were had cult favorite shows in New York City that we co-hosted.
That's awesome.
In addition to UCB,
And then you transform that into what you're doing now, which is
Just expanded, really.
Yeah,
we just
right.
basically our philosophy and how we worked as a comedy duo was let's just, when we think of an idea that we think is funny, we're gonna do it, whether it's hosting a show or making a sketch video or a rap video or whatever it is. And when Guys We Fucked, the idea came out of the impetus for that was a bad breakup on Corinne's end, and she texted me one day and she's like, we should just interview all the guys we fucked and we'll do it for a podcast. We just call it Guys We Fucked. And I was like, yeah. And when you kind of have an idea that just won't get out of your head, and she would say to me a couple times, I really want to do the Guys We Fucked thing. I'm like, yeah, that's a really good idea. And so we
Yeah, I was just
pitched it and-
sitting in the notes section of my iPhone for ever, and I would I put it in my to-do list section, so I would always open it up, and every day I would see it, and I was like, we really need to do this. And I was
she
right.
was right. Boy, was she correct.
It all came together. I do that too. I have an endless list. I'm notes on top of notes.
Mm-hmm.
I do that too on my iPhone, and I'm like, banana fever. What is?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Like
if I
months
don't write
later,
it down,
yeah.
I won't remember it. But then a lot of times when I do revisit, I'm like, what the fuck was I think? What did I mean when I wrote this?
What's the most uncomfortable conversation that you've had on the podcast?
God. It's weird because
It's so nothing makes me uncomfortable
say,
anymore.
yeah.
When people fight, so we had a comedian goes by the name JC Knows Best. In that episode, he didn't know best, and he was basically kind of putting on an act. And Corinne had a really great, honest conversation with him before we agreed to do the podcast. And he came on, he was kind of acting showy and insulting Corinne passive aggressively. He was just putting on a show, and we're like, we don't fuck that. Like that's not why we have people on our podcast. We want to get down to the real shit because that's what we're interested in. So, and they fought on the show verbally, and I was just like, everybody get along. We're fine. It's fine. I gotta go. What's happening? I didn't think we were going to air that, but Corinne was like, yeah, we are.
Absolutely.
It was one of our most
Yeah.
popular episodes.
Sure. Incendiary, but entertaining.
Yeah, disagreement and conflict makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I'm
me
actually
too.
more comfortable with it now, but yeah.
Well, I mean, cause like if I fought everyone I wanted to fight on the podcast, I would probably fight almost every
We would have to
guest.
rename guys we fought with.
So I just
Yeah,
have to
right.
keep. I mean, I try to be as calm as possible and to see things like even if I like sometimes we interview people and I'm like, oh, this is a load of bullshit. But I'm like, instead of just saying it's a load of bullshit, I'm like, let me see why they think that way, or kind of get into conversation a little bit more, because maybe other people are on board with their or what they're saying is resonating with other people in a way that it's not at all resonating with me.
And sure, sometimes that's the best kind of conflict resolution is to just go for it and have them in a very public sphere where you can
Get
really
down to it.
If
Get
they're full
down
of
to
shit,
it. Yeah,
they're gonna
exactly.
dig their own grave
Absolutely.
eventually anyway.
I know.
Every time.
And that's kind of fun.
We found out we know that very well. At the,
Oh, really?
the,
Friend or foe? I mean, that's...
Oh, you have no idea.
Whoa, you get in some fights here?
Well,
That's
thankfully,
That's interesting to me, though.
all right. I don't know that I've ever actually talked about this in length. I did a little. This is an exclusive for
your podcast.
for you both.
Yes, I'm so excited. I love exclusives.
All right. So I previously co-hosted a show called Friend or Foe the regular way, but
right.
the co-host that I had was really the host.
He took over.
I'm never. Well, it wasn't so much that he took over. It was that I was never really the co-host of the show. I was a recurring guest star on the show. That was his thing.
But you were supposed to
and
be the co-host, right? Or no?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
I mean, we shared writing sketches and booking guests and the whole nine, and then it just blew up in a giant fireball on the side of a mountain. And so
I like the side of the mountain element.
Well,
Yeah, very LA.
it really was. And I thought, well, I transitioned this show into my show, I guess, in April of this year. And I thought the other show had died. I thought it was, dead and buried and gone. And then about, I guess, 3 weeks ago,
Oh, shit.
new episodes of his podcast.
A friend
started
or
showing-
FOE?
That's right.
When did you... you had a
Wow.
conversation when you you stopped doing that one.
Many
Did you talk
conversations.
about...
Many heated, terrible conversations.
He did. Probably on your end or... Because...
Both.
Yeah. Well, because you were fed up. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's a weird... Somebody
Now-
who's like that, that lets their ego go and take over, I feel like it's difficult to talk to that kind of person.
And I'm a totally narcissistic, full of myself actor, and
Really?
I will say that.
you
but
seem so sweet.
thank you.
I was going to say, you seem a bit like a lunatic,
I'm
but
terrible.
that's just me.
Oh, okay. We read people very differently. Whoa. Never mind. I see what you're saying, Corinne.
Well, here's the thing. I will say, not to throw him too deeply under the bridge, he is an excellent host. I mean,
He's got
a
frontman syndrome.
He's a
He's got frontman. My boyfriend
Yeah.
has talked when he started mentioning that when we would talk about his bands and working together and why the band that he had managed fell apart. Like,
Oh, frontman. I think
Frontman.
you said friendman. and
No,
I was
no,
like,
no.
I don't know what that is.
What's that? Frontman syndrome of like you can't work with any other person and it's just about you and you don't even see that other people exist because all you're focusing on is yourself. Selfishly motivated. Frontman
Right.
syndrome. Boom.
Marilyn
Yeah.
Manson.
wiki.
Yes. But are you feeling bad? I mean, did you talk to him after you were like, oh, word? You going to put that out? I mean,
Well,
Actually, we cut all ties.
Okay, that's good.
I am following the show because
You're curious.
curious. Yeah.
But you might get your blood
It might be-
pressure
It might be
boiling.
better for you not to.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because it's not an ignorance is bliss thing, but it's for me. This is something I'm learning as I get older to unfollow the thing that pisses me off.
Yeah, it's like
on social
stalking
media.
your ex or something.
Yeah.
It's not healthy for you.
But I want to do it. Like the part of me was like, but you need to be up on the. But if I don't know, it's better because then I don't get heated. You know what I mean? And I know me, and I know I'm gonna get pissed off, and I'm not gonna let that shit go. So I'm gonna remove myself from it. It's a hard thing to actually do, but I've realized it is better for your blood pressure.
yeah, definitely.
He's the FOE and an
I wish
FAUX.
I wish him all the success in the world.
You seem
I
like you really
really
meant
do.
that.
I don't.
No, I do.
I don't know what we're talking about, but
I do.
I don't wish
because
him success.
He's a great host, and he's got his voice. I have mine. That's his
Yeah,
show. This
that's
is
good.
mine.
Not if you
a
stab
whole
him in
nother-
the throat.
Yeah, not if you shank him when he gets out of his
But he has
doctor's
not
appointment
had
next
both
week.
of you.
I don't know.
He has not had either of you on his podcast,
And we won't
so-
do it anymore, so.
Yeah, you got
Let
to us first.
Off air, let us know. And I mean, I could probably Google that.
You
but,
might actually be the worst person in this situation, but just because you got to us first,
Yeah,
we're not
we're-
doing
we're
the
on
other
your
show.
side.
We're
Thanks,
not doing the
Jennifer.
other show. Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I was like, who's that? Oh, yeah, our publicist.
Actually, I know you both have boyfriends now,
Yeah.
longtime boyfriends. That's awesome. I've heard in your other episodes and other, interviews that you've done that you do talk about them on the show, obviously. But it's gotten a little better. Like, I would love to hear about like what they thought about it at first.
Oh, yeah.
What were the concerns?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how far did it go? Were there any dramatic situations?
Oh, yeah. So for me, I was dating Steven for, I think, 2 years before we started the podcast. He had previously dated a famous porn star, and that was part of how he felt towards the beginning. He didn't think it was a good idea. And we have since talked about that because anytime he gives me an opinion, I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't think guys we fucked was good, so can I really trust you? But he said basically, I've experienced, I've dated a person who has made sex her career and talking about sex her career and having sex on film for her career. And it really has fucked her up. It's fucked her over because people won't take her seriously in any other realm. And that's where his concern had come from. There was a moment where when the first 6 or 8 months of the podcast was with a studio, a network. And so we would go there to record, and he didn't listen to the podcast when it first came out. We had maybe released 5 or 6 episodes at that point, and he kind of sat down one day when I was at my day job, and he listened to all of them, and he texted me throughout the entire day of, you told people I like to get my butthole you told, and I'm like, oh boy, this is really, if you could hold your concerns for when I get home, this is very anxiety inducing. And we never talked about, hey, is it cool if I talk about this shit? I assumed it was cool because we were talking about guys we fucked, and he knew that. He knew the premise. But now it's fine. We almost broke up over that. That was one of 2 times that we've almost broke up. And that was a really big fight. And I think he edits the podcast, and he's a producer on it. He picks the music and he puts the filters over everything. And he's like, him and I always say my boyfriend and Corinne's mom are like the biggest fans of it. So it has come around full circle. But yeah, he and now if there's anything that I think he might get upset about, if I talk about, I always ask him, but he always says yes. So
That's
it's
cool.
just, I think he wants to feel as though I'm not taking his experience and then like taunting it around, like, flaunting it around everywhere with no say on his end. So I feel like if he is a heads up, that's enough for him to feel like, okay, she has some consideration for me. And that's, that's fair.
It's about consent.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
And I mean, for me, James knew like about me before I even met him. I mean, through comedy, and then also we share a mutual, really close friend who he was living with, which is how I ultimately met him in person. So nothing was like a surprise to him. He doesn't listen to the podcast. I mean, a couple episodes he'll listen to, but it's just not really a huge thing. And I also try to talk about him as little as possible. I bring him up when I think it's relevant, but I don't like just offer for like tips about him. And also, I mean, we have different political views, and I've kind of gotten, annoyed with the listeners, for some of the listeners, for them just kind of being obsessed with this fact that he's on a different side of the political spectrum. And so it's just like, you know what, I can't defend him without you knowing him. So I think I'm just not going to share him with you guys. I mean, that's my approach to a lot of things.
Yeah, people expect her they always like come at James to her, and it's like, first of all, I'm not him.
I don't share his beliefs. I fight with him just as
Yeah, and they don't know, and they should know, the people who do reach out to her about that. I'm like, just don't. You don't know the situation. You don't know. You're making assumptions, and that's part of the problem of why people of opposite beliefs cannot talk to each other. It's just like butting heads, and I'm like, how are we gonna get anywhere if we can't even be in the same room with somebody who doesn't have the same beliefs as us? That's bullshit.
Yeah, I think
people need to have different beliefs because they come from different backgrounds and experiences.
Like, I think this year we all suddenly in unison decided, number one, to care about politics because something bad happened, and now we want to pay attention, which is so American. It's like 9/11 syndrome. Oh, it's like, oh, maybe we should care about airport security now. It's just like, I mean, if any logical person should have thought before 9/11 that it's a bad idea to just let fucking anybody on an airplane and not check them. But
what was security like before? I'd never been on a plane before. I don't think.
You went through security, but it's not even close to what it is now. And I mean, I think you are more than who you voted for, even though we don't like to say that these days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're everything. Who you voted for is everything. But there's just more. We're never going to get along this way.
Mm-hmm.
The country's worse off than ever.
I think with the sexual assault stuff too happening in the media, so many people getting outed, it's also like there is a place where opposites can exist and like different. You can still say a person. Al Franken is a what he did with the photo was a real piece of shit move, and I see exactly what you were butthurt that this hot model rejected you, and you fucking handled it so wrong. You're also a really great senator. Those two things can exist.
Right.
And I think you deserve. I think that it's good that the person shared that photo. I'm glad they did. I fucking love Al Franken so much, but that was a shitty thing. And it's like, oh, even the good guys are capable of shitty things. Everyone is capable of shitty things. So I think the thing you gotta do is talk about
the
it.
good guys. I think that's the
That's
key.
true.
We're all just human beings.
Yeah.
And the bad guys, I don't think, are also as bad as we
They
we
come
think
from
that they
somewhere
are.
too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still enjoy Kevin Spacey's work.
I was madly in
know-
love. I'm not madly in love with them anymore.
I know he's a total asshole.
But American Beauty is my favorite movie in
God,
the history of
yes.
the planet. And
the floating bag scene.
oh my god! Every time a
that's-
bag floats in New York City, which happens a lot, of
I'm
garbage on the
tearing
streets.
up.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how I feel about Woody Allen movies. I'm like, I fucking love Woody Allen movies. Like, stop.
Yeah, and that don't I can love them, and I can't. Bill Cosby's ruined for me. I can't enjoy the Cosby Show anymore. But if you can, cool. If you could separate it, I'm kind of jealous. That's great.
I have a very high level of willing suspension of disbelief.
That's
I
good.
always have. I mean, as an actor, I think that's one of my strong suits, to be able to put myself into any situation.
Yeah.
And also I just love discussing hard things with cool people or not so cool people. That's why I love having this podcast, because I have the platform to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And have awesome people like you here. I know I keep giving you
Well,
compliments.
no,
I can't help it.
But just to interrupt your compliment, because it doesn't matter. I mean, we just don't even bother. We're just normal dipshits.
Yeah, we're pieces of shit.
But I think it's like beyond. It's not.
Pick my nose before.
I mean,
got
I
in
don't
the
know that
building.
it should be suspension of disbelief. Like, you should believe it, but I think you can just separate it. Just separation of
Sure.
separation
when
of
you
belief.
consume somebody's art who then turns out to be kind of a monster.
And like, a good thing for Weinstein, like, he was just producing shit. He wasn't the artist. So I think that's a little bit
now when I
easier
watch
to just
movies, I'm like,
trash him.
please don't say Weinstein production logo. Oh, it's not going to ruin the movie for me, but it's just going to. I feel like we have a unique situation, but also now the world, at least America, is being forced to confront the fact that this happens so often. I already knew, but it's nice that everybody else knows. But being reminded about every goddamn second, every goddamn day.
Yeah, a lot of women
little
knew.
exhausting.
We knew.
For sure. What do your parents think about what you do?
Love it.
I hid the name of the podcast from my mom for a long time. There was I blocked her on Facebook many, many years ago because she thought I was high in every picture. She loves me so much, but she thinks I'm a 3-year-old in a tutu still, and so she treats anything that, she's very overly protective. And so when she found out, my brother texted me because he knew about the podcast. He's like, I'm not going to listen to it, but it's a great name, and I'm glad it's successful. And he texted me one day and was like, she knows. And I knew exactly what that meant. And I was like, shit. And then, but my mom did. I was very proud of her. She, went through asking the questions to not me, because that would have made me pissed off and lose my temper. And she eventually called me, and she's like, hey, yeah, I'm glad it's successful. And then It actually brought us closer together, and she told me things like she was sexually assaulted when she was younger, and she didn't ever
Whoa.
tell me that. And I'm like, you would have never told me that had this. That's so, wow, that was a mind fuck. And it made me understand her
Yeah.
more.
That's really incredible.
Yeah, but they're very supportive. Oh my! I never thought her mom listens to every episode. She's so supportive. I'm like, man, that would be so cool to have that level of support. But I don't think I'll ever get it. But now I get it in the level that I need. They don't listen because I don't want them to because it's embarrassing for me and them. But they're so supportive, and they came to our live show when we sold out a theater in Boston, and that was really cool for them to see what it's
That's
become.
super cool.
Yeah, I think parents are consistently underestimated. I mean, I'm very lucky that I just like knew my parents were going to be cool with it. I mean, my dad found out later, but like the pause on telling my dad didn't come from me. That wasn't my decision. It was more like my mom didn't want to have to deal with it. And I was like, well, you guys live in the same house. So if you would, and he wasn't going to be upset. He was just kind of, I think, going to be like obsessing over it a little
Would
bit.
stress a dad out, I feel like is a fair assumption or a I don't know.
Just
My dad fucking loves the idea of the show,
Yeah.
and I always knew my dad would be like, "That's fucking great."
My dad's very like a gentle soul, and I don't think he's maybe caught up with the times more so than like he's like concerned about me. So it was but like we had a guest who was on a couple, maybe like a month ago, and I remember she was gonna divulge some information that her mom didn't know about, and I guess people's moms just sit at home and Googled.
Yeah, thank God my mom doesn't anymore.
And I was like, you know what? I think number one, I think it's more respectful and better to hear it from your own child rather than a podcast. So I was like, I think you should tell her. But I was like, I think she's gonna be more understanding than you think she's gonna be. And she texted me back like an hour later, and she was like, you were right. And I was like, of course I am. That's why I co-wrote an advice book.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
Yep, for sure. Congratulations on being authors as
Thanks.
well.
Thank you.
Never
I
thought
was,
that would happen.
I was supposed to get a book. I thought,
We'll
but,
send one to you. You didn't get
I
one.
wasn't fishing, but I
No, we will. It's
definitely
okay.
do want a copy.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
we
I'd
would have
love to read
packed
it.
one had we
Yeah.
known.
My parents support me in pretty much
Good.
everything I do. They're very loving, cool parents. My dad texts me that he loves me every day.
Aw,
Cue
just
the
out of
aw.
nowhere. Just so you know, son,
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, he does.
Aw.
And
I
Did he
love
ever
when men
forget a
express
day?
emotion. Yeah, and how was
What's
that for
that?
you? Did he ever forget a day? Did he ever miss a day? And how was that for you?
you know what? I don't think he has.
Whoa.
In like
Oh, so then if
3
you
years.
there's a day
I
that
would
he
be
doesn't
so
do
pissed
it.
when he doesn't do it.
But
yeah.
then I would immediately
He
be like,
died.
my dad's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my dad died.
No.
I'm
no,
always worried
no,
about my parents
no.
dying.
Me too.
Because I love them more than anything.
Constant fear. Well, and also it's kind of like what's gonna happen.
I know. No, it's not.
Do you have a lot
It's
of
a major
those,
bummer.
Do you have a lot of those thoughts like I do? I have these very
Unwanted
the
thoughts.
voices that tap in my mind that are like, your parents aren't okay. You need to call them.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Just like this. I guess that's a human thing, but
Yeah,
I
I
do
don't-
it so much.
Worry. It's worry.
I
I'm
mean,
a worrier. I have anxiety.
I
for
just
sure.
generally expect them to die. I mean, like technically they should be dying before me because that's otherwise
that's
even
hopefully-
that's even worse
No.
if it's
Right.
the other way around. I think
Yeah,
any
it's bad.
parent wants themselves to die before their kids.
My parents are immortal. They'll be around forever.
Got news for you.
I mean, in
dude.
your heart,
Uh,
sure.
My
La, la,
mom's
la, la,
almost
la, la,
died
la.
so many times though that we are oddly comfortable with her death and kind of joke about it because she's truly almost. I mean, and then we were like, "You're probably gonna live to be like fucking 105."
Exactly. Well,
And
she's like amazing.
Most resilient human being that's ever lived.
My mom is too. My mom had cancer. She's a cancer survivor for over 15 years,
Wow.
and her cancer just returned.
Oy.
Oh,
And she got a
tracheotomy.
yeah.
Tracheotomy.
So,
She
and
smoke or
her
no?
vocal cords removed. She never smoked in her life.
Yeah, one of my
but
best
she
friends.
comes from, parents who smoked, chain smokers. So,
Oh.
So just-
it was
What was
like
the
a-
secondhand
signs?
smoke?
That's right.
Oh wow.
Whoa.
Jesus.
The doctors tried to say that that's not the case, that it's just a flu.
Did she live near a
but,
chemical plant or anything? Like in a town? Did she ever live in a town where?
no
asbesto-
she just,
okay.
just around,
Oh my god.
See, my best friend's
Tobacco
mom, one of
all-
my best friend's mom died of lung cancer. Never smoked a day in her life. Parents
Yeah.
never smoked. She was never around it. And
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I smoke.
um,
That's not
I'm gonna
good.
play this clip for James because my boyfriend smokes, and I was like, I
Yeah.
swear to God, if I get lung cancer because of you, I'm gonna murder
Oh.
you.
Yeah.
I will murder you.
Yeah, I smoke, and I really try. I don't like walking and smoking because then if someone's walking behind, like it's just fucking rude.
Yeah.
And I try and be as far away from people because I'm like, why would I? I'm very yeah. But it's not good. It's so dumb to smoke. But we'll see. One day I'll
That's
quit.
fine. Keep killing yourself. I
Yeah, I
don't care
know.
what you do.
Everyone,
That's-
we're all killing ourselves in
I drink
one
a lot
way
of-
or another.
I drink Mountain Dew all the time. So
Oh,
it's
that's
just
fucked
like,
up, dude. Oh,
Mountain Dew is
God.
delicious, though. It's like you need a vice.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need
Need a
something
vice.
that you just consume and you know it's not good for you, but you like it.
Yeah.
Just don't overdo anything.
My mom's one of the strongest people on the entire planet. She keeps kicking cancer's ass, so
That's
I know
great.
that she's going to again.
That's
and,
amazing.
And they're very supportive. My girlfriend is as well. I won't say her name because
She doesn't want
that's
you to.
it. Yeah,
Oh.
it's a.
Well, that's
it's
good.
a-
You will keep your relationship
Well,
for yourself.
Does she know you guys are dating?
Yes, she is aware.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
We'll check.
Yeah, just make sure you know.
We just celebrated. Well, we'll be celebrating 15 months.
Aw.
And,
I-
15 months is
You
a
know what?
milestone.
I
What?
know.
You know what? I am so good at reading people because I was like, this kid's gonna say something in months right now. I was like, I know he's
At least
going
it's
to.
over a year.
It's not gonna be.
It's a year. We've been together a year. Yeah.
Well, I feel like
He
within
counts
the
his
year.
know.
relationship like
I'm
a
ridiculous.
toddler.
No, but when you first get in a relationship, my anniversary with my boyfriend is our first date, and I was like, I just decided that that's when that was, because I'm like, that's when I fell in love with you. That's our anniversary. And he's like, okay. So
That's when you fell in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow,
Oh.
wow.
And I called
That's
my
cool.
mom and I was like, I just met my husband, and then my mom was like,
Whoa.
okay, weird.
Wow.
And I was like, joke's on you, mom. She didn't care. She's happy for me.
That's pretty incredible. What'd you do on your first date?
Well, it was supposed to be a business meeting, and then he told me he got dumped a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, really? And we just spent we had like a magical day date that we went to a museum, we went to a vegan bakery that he liked, and I'm like, ugh. But then I was like, I love vegan bakeries now. And
Was it good?
Yeah, it was really
Okay.
good. It was really good in the West Village, and we just walked around and kind of made fun of people, and it was just perfect.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
It's a good first date. Didn't even hold hands and kissed.
We just said how much everyone else sucks, and that does sound
Yeah,
fun.
it was nice.
I mean, that's the best part of it. That's why I hang out with gay men.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They don't mince words.
yeah. They tell you how they feel.
They mince, but they don't mince words. Okay, sorry.
Minced garlic. Go ahead. Go keep talk. Say something before I keep going because that's not good.
No, this is great.
We've taken over.
My girlfriend she's lovely and amazing. She will very embarrassingly, be listening to the show. She considered herself asexual when we
Oh,
met,
interesting.
and she got
And
over
then she
it.
met you, and she's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
never
that's-
mind.
We had a
That's
guest
right.
on the podcast who had this similar experience, always like asexual, and then he met his girlfriend, who I think they might be engaged now, and everything changed. But he was still like,
That's so cool.
he was still like, I'm not that into sex.
but their sex drives are compatible. Weren't their sex drives like pretty compatible?
No,
Like-
it seemed like it worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
It's
that
great.
is
It's
that
great.
similar for you guys? Like, does she have a low sex drive? I don't know
Oh,
if that's
no.
like too much of a.
Oh no, she has an extraordinarily high sex
Maybe
drive.
she
Yeah,
just maybe
she's-
she just met a lot of stuff.
um, she-
Also, too, like, a lot of bad dates or bad dating experiences can really make you just want to quit dating. Truly, it's really, it's like
and
doing
she
an open
was-
mic that makes you want to.
She was on a
quit.
bad date
Yeah.
for over 7 years. She was married, and
Ooh.
it
So
was-
that makes a lot of
he was
yeah.
an abusive asshole,
Ah.
and was just she went through absolute hell in pretty much all of her relationships. She
and
had
she-
some
it makes
scattered
sense.
good
It's like,
relationships.
well, why?
But then
Why
she
do I
was
need
married, and he treated her like total shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she didn't see anyone, have any romantic interaction of
removed
any
herself because that's protecting
Yeah.
yourself.
kind
Your heart.
for over 2 years, and
you
then
scooped her up.
well,
I was
you know,
like,
it,
2
it
years.
Took us, it took us a little while to
People are pretty
sleep
terrible.
together. I
No,
was
I'm saying
actually
I did 4.
Oh,
I was like, that's light.
Mm.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry,
No, I
we're having
just-
our own podcast over here.
That's okay. No, totally.
it took a long time. I like that though.
It took a little while to sleep together, which was great. I had no problem waiting because she's very special.
and that's a respectful man.
And
Thank
you.
you.
In fact, I actually I'm sure you're familiar with Anna Faris's Unqualified.
Hell
they,
yeah.
They taped their first live show here downstairs,
Cool.
and they brought me up on stage. Whitney Cummings was
I
the
love
guest.
her.
And so I'll call her Emily. Emily and I had just gotten together,
Mm-hmm.
and so they brought me up on stage, and I was explaining that not that I wanted to fuck her. I mean, yes, I did.
You were
but
intrigued by her. You were into her.
how I could best approach someone who's come out of a terrible long-term relationship that's
Aw.
being with
And
me.
she was in the audience.
She wasn't, but
Okay.
she did listen to the show.
Okay.
Aw.
And I thought she was gonna be, very.
You didn't give out her social security
yeah,
number.
No. I thought it was gonna bother her, but she actually thought it was very sweet.
Yeah,
and
that is
that's
really
one of the,
sweet.
One of the things
It was
we talk about.
considerate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
respectful, and yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and of course Whitney Cummings had many great things to say.
She's so funny.
Yeah, she's awesome. What's something that you haven't talked about on the podcast? What's a question that you haven't been asked yet?
How do you make a good muffin? How do you homemade pizza dough? We've really talked. I mean, a lot.
Covered it all.
Under the umbrella of sex. I mean, there's an infinite amount of things to say about it and topics that I didn't really realize. But I don't think there's anything that we want to delve into.
There's probably some kinks that we don't even know exist.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the kind of
sure.
that's the kind of thing that I would like to get into as far as like sexual curiosity. I mean, I'm obsessed with finding someone who's into fetishism. If anyone's listening and is into that, I've only seen the only real life people I've ever seen do it was in a piece on Viceland. So
and that person has to be the person being fed has to be really, really overweight, right? It's not like a.
I mean, you have to be pretty overweight. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I like because it's a kink. I'm sure it's open to interpretation.
Right.
But I mean, that is the key. To basically be able to see your partner's body growing, kind of.
Because you feed him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Him or her.
I mean, again, speaking of things that are unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, we live in a world that's like so fucking open minded that you can't even say
But
that something is
PC.
unhealthy, but like that's unhealthy.
Yep. Yeah.
It is. There's no way. There's no
You're
way
gonna
around
get diabetes, girl.
So it's not unhealthy sexually, but it's just an unhealthy
Right.
bodily.
There's a lot of really, I won't call them odd necessarily, but
They're
fun
odd.
fetishes like sitting on cakes and stuff like that.
Ooh,
I
that
heard about
sounds
this one.
fun.
But what's odd to me ain't
On
odd
balloons.
to you.
Just sounds more wasteful than anything. The balloon thing
Yeah.
I've seen Dan Savage's Hump Fest. There was a balloon kink
What did you do?
piece.
Pop it or?
I mean, they were all dressed as clowns, and yeah, they were kind of like, because I think I could understand how sitting on a balloon, the anticipation of waiting for it to pop could be
Ooh, that would hurt my
arousing.
puss.
I could understand that. I don't think it would. I don't think it I don't think it snaps back, right?
I don't know.
It just deflates basically. The sound
Oh.
is the sound to me is terrifying. I hate the sound of balloons popping. It's so scary, and the anticipation kills me. So I can understand, like in the S&M world, how that would work.
I'm into belts and chains.
Oh,
Blindfolds.
well, that.
Cool.
Well,
Oh,
I
yeah,
like
I
how
love that shit. I have
normal
restraints on my
stuff.
bed.
Yeah.
I like how
totally.
you were like just not even amused by the balloons, and then you're like, no, I have whips.
No,
so I'm
Loser.
pretty busy.
I had comedian Lana Turner on the show, and we were. She was fascinated. She's very sex positive too. I have this fetish that's transformational, so like werewolves and stuff. It's a real turn on. Not furries. I would like to be very clear. Furries is
Very
totally.
true.
Oh,
it's
that's a
different
topic I want to
subsect.
get into with,
Yeah,
with somebody at
You've
some
never
point.
talked about that on the show?
No, but that
surprises
I'm like,
me.
what the fuck is that?
But wasn't
I want to
there-
know what you like about it so bad. But
There was an MTV docu piece about furries, I believe,
Yeah.
that like was so fucking good. I don't even want to touch the topic because I'm like, I can't do it as good as them.
wait, so what? Like, how has it played out in your life in which you've indulged in that kink? Does somebody go put on a costume? What's involved?
Are you magic?
Do you love the Anne Hathaway movies where she starts out with frizzy hair and then she's hot by the end? Do you like? Is that your porn?
No.
Oh, okay, got
It's someone becoming a creature, and that doesn't necessarily.
Oh.
It's like either becoming an animal or a supernatural creature.
Ooh,
And
fun.
It's differentiated from furries because I think, and I'm not part of the furry community, so I get
You
it
could
wrong.
speculate. I mean,
but
it's all coming from-
it's about tactile contact, right? It's
Oh.
the same sort of thing. Like when you give someone goosebumps or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's sort of like you like feeling that fur and.
So is
and
this
that
only
whole thing.
specifically werewolves, or is it more also like would shapeshifters be included?
Oh yeah, shapeshifters.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
what
yeah.
about the half guy, half horse thing?
the centaur?
Centaurs. I was like, it's a pinball machine. What
If
is that?
someone was becoming a centaur, yes. As
Centaurs
far
are
as
hot.
like doing it with a centaur, not so much.
Okay.
It's
How about like Nightcrawler from the X-Men?
ooh, interesting.
I'm just
How
trying
about
to
the
get,
Hulk?
trying to get a sense
No,
of this.
no.
So the
not
fur
really.
specifically is what you like.
No, I was
the
talking
touch?
about furries.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I was speculating on furries,
Okay.
but it's more just about, to Psych 101 myself. I'm sure it has something to do with like being someone else, getting outside of my own body.
So are you the one
outside
who
of my own
transforms,
mind.
or do both of you transform?
Usually I'm reading stories about transformation. There's also
So it's like
endless-
erotica. You read
Yes,
it. You literary. That's how you indulge in the kink.
literary and sometimes visual with the progressional.
Where do you get
art.
the visual from?
The
The book or the internet?
Well, both. I mean,
Oh.
mostly the internet. There are, of course, endless forums and
Oh yeah, you
Facebook
can.
pages
If
and,
you're
you know,
interested
all
in
that- all
anything,
that
somebody
kinda
else is
stuff.
too. And thanks
Absolutely.
internet. So is
Absolutely.
it video or just photos? I'm so interested in this.
Generally photos and
Okay.
stories.
Oh,
Stories.
cool.
I would say stories usually get me there 90% faster than.
wanna
than
get
the
into
pictures
erotica.
Are,
Now, are these stories that actually say that like werewolves are real, or is this like definitely understood to be fanciful?
I mean,
both.
Well, because
most
some
of the
cultures do
stories
believe that
take-
werewolves are real.
word.
Like Romanians, I believe.
Absolutely.
I mean, there though. I mean, maybe they are there, real there.
I mean, there's not stuff that's happening in Romania that's like doesn't work other places. I think there's like most times like stories like this, it's like based on something that was real. Like a vampire. Like there was a guy who was drinking blood. He wasn't like a vampire as we know it in popular culture, but
Right.
you can trace it back and understand where it came from.
Hey, Jesus, yeah, we always say, like, I feel like Jesus just had a bottle of Tylenol, and everyone was like, what the fuck? You're
Yeah.
Jesus now.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
I always
okay.
joke about zombie Jesus on Easter and make all my Facebook friends
That's
really mad at me,
hilarious.
especially all my conservative friends.
People are
Yeah.
too serious.
I keep like kicking friends to the curb every Easter. So they're like, "How dare you?"
People are so uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Do you ever act out this kink in your relationship, or have
It's-
you ever with another person?
It's kind of impossible.
I was gonna
mean,
say, yeah, it's
with
not-
with a furry, I mean, that's easy.
That's
you just get a
possible.
suit, but with this, my girlfriend is very, she's offered many times, like,
yeah.
how can I help you out?
Yeah,
with this?
I'd be
And
like, oh,
there's-
how can I facilitate?
I mean, we're, I'm with her. I'm mostly fine to just,
What if she
get
just shaved
strapped
your
to the
bush
bed.
and then you fucked every day as it as it
And then it
grew in?
grew, and you're
That's
like,
great
whoa,
too.
chia.
Yeah, all over it. Yeah, for sure.
I was like, that's transformation. It's just slow.
Wait, I have a G. Okay, I'm gonna skip.
Are you
that.
gonna take
Okay.
out a transformation book now?
No,
No,
it looks
I
like
would.
a
I would love
children's
to have a
book.
transformation
We're
book for
all
you,
gonna
but
masturbate.
yes, we're all gonna masturbate to this children's
Tiny
book.
Tim, is that what they called you? in middle
That's right.
school?
This was actually one of my girlfriend's favorite books as a kid,
I
and
was
this
gonna
is
say the
something.
illustration looks familiar.
Yeah, that I'm gonna try to introduce as a segment on the show because it's a really fucked up book. This is Tiny Tim by Helen Oxenberry, Verses for Children, chosen by Jill Bennett. And if you would, just
So
read,
wait,
read a
this?
little bit and then switch off, and you'll see.
You want me to read half of this one, or you want each just to reread one?
Yeah, go ahead and read the first part.
Okay.
there.
I had a little brother. His name was Tiny Tim. I put him in a bathtub to teach him how to swim. He drank up all the water. He ate up all the soap. He died last night with a bubble in his throat. This is great. I love these.
And
wrote,
this is for kids.
yeah, no, I wrote poems like this when I was a kid that had an ending. I forget what the poems, the type of poem it is, but it has like a surprise ending.
Oh
I
yeah.
love those.
Okay. In came the doctor. In came the nurse. I know this. In came the lady with the alligator purse. Dead, said the doctor. Dead, said the nurse. Dead, said the lady with the alligator purse.
Getting goosebumps.
Out went the doctor. Out went the nurse. Out went the lady with the alligator purse. I knew it. I already knew that one already. That's a great one. What's wrong with that one?
Wait, why'd you have us read it? Just because?
Oh, it's demented. It gets much more demented throughout the book.
Oh, children's shit is fucked up.
Oh, it's very.
Have you ever looked at the meaning behind all the Disney movies? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, of course. Penises everywhere.
oh,
I mean, I guess in this one, like you have a doctor and a nurse. What kind of credentials does the lady with the alligator purse have?
Yeah, like, why
would be
is she
my
there?
question for that one.
Right.
So I guess a lesson in like don't just let anyone into your doctor's appointment. You have a say. It's your body.
And the poem I read from teaches
My body,
me
my choice.
don't eat soap and drink all the bath water. You're gonna die, you idiot. This
See?
is fucked up, man.
Go for it.
So now we have to read that one.
Yeah. Billy is blowing his trumpet. Birdie is banging a tin. I might be ruining this book for your
I don't-
girlfriend. Betty is crying for Mummy, and Bob has pricked Ben with a pin. Baby is crying out loudly. He's out on the lawn in his pram. I am the only one silent, and I've eaten all the jam. There are so many metaphors in here.
Oh yeah.
I'm scared.
Well, that's someone who's going through something wrote
a lot
that.
of shit. A lot of shit.
Obviously,
a lot of layers
yeah.
there.
But maybe it's like Disney movies where they're writing something that a child can digest and love, but also something for the mom or dad or guardian, reading it to them.
Maybe. Beauty and the Beast really fucked me up when I was a kid. So.
Did it?
I
How
loved
so?
it. Because then you grow up and you're like, oh, find a guy who treats you like shit, who locks your dad up in a fucking cage. You love him long and hard enough, he'll turn into a nice person.
See, you
That's
didn't.
right.
You didn't immediately. Number one,
No.
your dad kind of looks like the dad from Beauty and the Beast. I just realized they're very.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I
My
think.
dad looks like the Gordon's fisherman.
I think the Gordon's fisherman also
Well,
looks like this guy.
the dad in the Beauty
He's
and the
not
Beast
short.
was bald on and then they had the things, but he was, I guess he's like,
Similar.
stocky.
He's like very cute. I love that guy.
My dad?
No, well, I mean, your dad's lovely. But
Yeah.
I meant
I was like,
the guy from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, he's sweet.
is like very cute.
Yeah. Bill. Sorry.
But I mean, even as a kid watching that movie, I was like, I would never date someone who treated my dad like that. Like, you can treat me badly for like a
That's
sec,
what I thought, but
not
then
the dad.
she did it, and I was like, oh, maybe I gotta look,
No, if someone was
maybe I gotta investigate further. Maybe there's something at the pot of gold at the end of this shit rainbow. There's not.
absolutely not with that treatment.
Just throw it right off the pier. It's all downhill.
And
from
everyone
here.
thought Belle was a horror because she read. It was just, I
Did they think she was a whore? I thought
Not
they
a
think she was a
dumb-
weirdo.
weird. Intelligence is weird. They, nerddom, not a whore. I guess I'm projecting.
She seemed to be a little antisocial, which I related
Odd.
to a lot.
She was odd, and people looked at that as a bad thing, and that's one of the reasons why I was like, I guess it's bad that I'm weird and goofy.
Wow, this
Really fucked me up. I mean, I had a
affected
Beauty and the
you.
Beast
Wow.
comforter.
A
I had
lot.
everything was Beauty and the Beast. I watched that movie probably 400 times in my childhood.
Yeah,
I was
me too.
obsessed with it.
Oh, wow. It's interesting.
Really took what they said to heart.
I was like, it's interesting that you loved it so much, but it kind of seemed to negatively affect you.
Yeah, well, when your mom's bipolar and she's busy, sleeping in a car for a couple months, and your dad's like got a job but he's trying to fix shit, and you just turn to movies.
Huh.
And you really take their advice to heart.
I did. I turned to movies too.
I was a naive child, though, and I know some children are. Some children aren't naive, even though a child in essence is a naive
Much
person because you're
smarter,
learning about the
right.
world. I didn't question anything. That's what it was.
Okay.
I didn't go,
Okay.
is that the best decision? I was just like,
Right.
I guess that's the word now. Okay, cool.
Right. Okay. All right.
I questioned everything.
That's
still do.
awesome. You should.
I do
Everyone
too. It's
should
very
be
X
More so than I
Files.
should.
Very X Files. Question everything is very X Files.
Yeah.
My favorite show of all time.
Yeah. Well, good choice.
Thank you.
What are you watching right now? Are you watching anything? You're too busy. probably.
Impractical
No,
Jokers.
No, we're not. We actually watch a lot of TV because for research. But Maria Bamford's new
Oh my God. Yeah.
Lady Dynamite on Netflix, the new season. I didn't think it could get better. That show is fucking incredible.
It is.
Talk
And
about
she is.
a comedian getting a television show and making it so good and so who she is.
She
and
made, like
reeks of
Paula
her.
Abdul says, she made it her own.
This season is so fucking funny. Lady Dynamite, you have to watch it.
Yeah. I just started watching the new season. It's impeccable.
And I always watch Last Week Tonight. This is one of the
course.
best shows on television.
Yeah.
It makes me feel sane. Those are the two that I watch consistently.
Yeah, I pretty much only watch Impractical Jokers these days, and if Impractical Jokers isn't on, I check the schedule to make sure that I'm there immediately when it starts again. But they play it a lot, so I'm safe. I have a lot of years to catch up on, so everything's new to me.
What do you watch?
Always a few years back. I
You
watch
seem like a
mostly-
Rick and Morty kind of guy.
Oh my God, I am.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty
Did you
is
like
freaking amazing.
Nick Kroll's cartoon on Netflix?
Big Mouth?
Big Mouth.
You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and my boy probably have very similar taste in television.
Oh, yeah.
He's very
Yeah. Anything.
I love
crass and
F
over
is
the
for
top.
Family. That's one of my favorite shows too.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Burr's cartoon. That is a fucking great
Yeah, it's
show.
fantastic. And Stranger Things. Of course.
Stranger,
and,
I had never watched that show, and I've been watching the new season. It's really fucking good.
yeah.
So now I get it.
Have you guys heard of a show called Breaking Bad?
No, what's that?
What the hell?
Is
I've
that
seen-
about like being bad and then breaking yourself?
I'm about 5 to 8 years behind in all TV, so I get onto it after all the water cooler conversations have
it's
happened.
nice though. You can binge if you want.
Because I don't want to be a part of it. I don't care about your opinion on a TV show. So I just
I did that with Sopranos.
digest it at my own rate.
I'm currently doing that with Weeds, actually.
Ooh, I heard Weeds was
I
phenomenal.
never watched Weeds. It's really good.
Millie
Coming back to
Avital
it.
from Lieben Entertainment was on that.
Yo, Robin Malco is like a huge part on that. And I'm glad I didn't watch it before we interviewed him because I'm like, you're so good.
I just brought United States of Terror into my life
Oh,
earlier
that's-
this year.
yeah.
There
that
you
show's
go.
awesome.
There you
Yeah.
go.
There's a lot of great television, I gotta say. I'm very proud of TV right
There's
now.
so much good content out there now.
Yeah.
There's way too much that any human person could ever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I always lose all my nerd points when I bring this up, but I've only seen like 2 episodes of Game of Thrones.
Oh,
I
don't
don't
watch
like
that
that
at
show.
all.
It's
No?
dumb. I think it's just
Oh.
dumb.
I don't
Really?
watch it mostly because that's the show that my ex and his now wife started watching together, so it's tarnished forever.
Uh-huh.
But that's the only reason I don't like it. I mean, I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably a really great show. They got a big budget over there. And a lot of
costumes look
people love
cool.
it. A lot of times though, when everyone gets on the bandwagon, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for that. It's stubbornness, but also I don't like that genre of television. I don't like the Barnabas is killing a dragon now. I don't care. I can't relate to that.
I love it. I can't. I'm Christmas break. That's what it's going to be all about.
Yeah.
Marathoning the whole damn thing.
Okay.
I got to have the nerd knowledge, though. You see,
Mm-hmm.
even if it ends up totally sucking, it won't. I'm sure it's fantastic.
Oh, it's
but-
You
done
don't give
very
up?
well.
Would you if you didn't like the first 3 episodes? Would you
okay,
keep watching?
I'll tell you something else that's terrible. Like I have watched every single episode of Big Bang Theory, even though it's one of the most terribly written shows.
It's
of-
not that
See,
bad.
all time.
It's popular for
It-
a reason.
See, this is why I'm not a good
But
TV
it's-
person because literally, like, I could love a series, and if they do one bad episode, I will stop watching the entire show.
Because you lose
okay.
trust in it.
I have no loyalty to TV at all. None.
Yeah, I've weaned myself off of a number of shows. Like I did that with Smallville too.
Did you
I
wean
watched
it
the
off by
whole-
just finishing the series, though?
Let me wean
most
it
of the
off.
time? Yeah.
Is your
finished it.
interpretation of wean
Yes,
off
yes,
different than
yes.
I got
ours?
the Sex and the City box, DVD box collection. I watched them all and I weaned off.
That's right. Exactly. We didn't really get into anything very sexual, so
Well, I
If
didn't
you
know.
wanna,
I didn't
you
know
can.
thematically
But I
what
wanna-
this show is. Like, what's like the what
What's
is
your goals?
what's your
themes?
yeah? What's your log line for your podcast?
no one knows.
It's a good log line.
Here's the
I thought I was gonna read deeper into that. Like no one knows ellipses, and then
Yeah,
every
yeah.
episode it's like no one knows about sex. So let's
the
talk about
shadow
it.
knows. Well,
Did I just polish up your podcast?
You did.
Yeah, I think you just
and
gave him a
that's-
real good angle that he's going to go off.
I'm
of.
gonna use that sound
gonna
clip to
redo his
promote
photo
the show
shoot.
from now and all time. Yeah. It's really all about the guests is the thing. It's a pop culture comedy podcast where I talk to engaging individuals about fun
So it's a-
topics.
it's a
Sometimes
podcast.
parody
Yeah.
ads. Yeah, I mean, I've had a filmmaker talking about mass incarceration with Lana Turner. We got into
Wait,
all sorts
who was
of things.
it? Ava fucking just did the
Her name is
13th
no, her
on
name
Max
is
Incarceration.
Alexis Miranda. She's
Okay,
doing a
cool.
film called The Orin Project.
Ooh, love
It's very cool. You got to check it out. I don't think it's actually been released, but she's
Okay. Oh,
diligently
yeah, I'm
working
excited.
on it. Yeah.
I fucking love
hit her up
docs.
on social. She would love that. And I had Paulina Ortiz Mena, who talked about the 5 levels of sexuality and sensuality. She is going to be a sexual blueprint coach.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, it's very interesting. It's
Cool.
it's.
I guess we have
it's
to listen to that
Yeah, I
essentially-
gotta go
episode.
listen to that.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer said she wrote me in the email that you were fans of the podcast. I'm like, they haven't listened to the podcast.
No, I had. Okay, so it's number one, great publicist because she really polished that statement up. What I said is I had heard of it. That was my quote.
Well, that still surprises the hell out of me, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like you're being sarcastic, but that's fine. It's just good. Maybe we can use this sound clip too. I've heard of it.
Cool.
I've heard of it.
Friend or foe?
Friend or foe?
I've heard of it. Only spelled the FAUX way.
Not the other way, because that doesn't exist.
Because I don't even
That's
know
right.
who would name a
Yeah.
podcast that.
Fucking idiot.
Why don't you spoon feed me the title?
Yeah, why don't you go eat baby food at CVS? I don't know. When you improv, you just go places and you just
Yeah.
like,
Yes, and.
my soul will lead.
Yes, that's exactly right. What made you want to do stand up in the first place?
I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live my whole life, and I transferred from Penn State to a school in New York City so I can intern there. And my first ever internship was how I met Corinne, and I interviewed 3 times, didn't get it all 3 times, and then I think Dina Moles works in production there, was like, she called me the very last semester after I interviewed, like the 3rd or 4th time, and she said, I'm just so sorry, like no one, when you intern there, they don't leave, they don't stop interning, you intern for as long as you possibly can, which I totally understand. And she was like, you're great, we just don't have anything for you to do. And I was like, because that was, you can't intern for them unless you get college credit. So that was like the most devastating phone call of my life. And then 20 minutes later, the best phone call of my life happened. She called me back and she was like, you know what? Come in on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So I was like, you really? And it was actually also the day my grandpa died, but I was so excited about that goddamn internship that
Oh, wow.
yeah, that didn't sink in until a couple of days later. But
Family first.
yeah, but anyway, the last day of my internship, the end of every SNL season, they do their after party on the ice skating rink. They put a floor on and they have this huge party. And I asked one of the writers named John Lutz, who's an improv guy. I said, "What do I got to do to get on the show? Like, well, what's the good path?" And he's like, "You should do stand up." And he doesn't do stand up. Which I was like, whatever he said I was gonna do. And when he said stand up, I was like, no, okay, fine. And I did it. And I was like, oh shit, this is fucking fun. Because I'm a control freak. So with that, it's all you. And if you fail, it's all your fault.
And then why did I do stand up? I mean, yeah, I've always been like the funny friend. I just didn't really know there was a career path that you could. I just thought I was like, I'm just gonna make people laugh because I like it and because the world is terrible. And if you can't laugh, like, what are you gonna do? Kill yourself? That seems like a big waste. My mom held me in her stomach for 9 months. The least I could do is just
live.
Hang on, hang
Good
in
choice.
there. Yeah. And so I mean, then I moved to New York and I kind of. I did a stand-up con test when I was like 17 years old, but I just at that time didn't have any life experience. So I didn't have, my set was honestly fine. Like I didn't bomb, but it just didn't click the way it does when you have things to talk about and you have opinions on life that you've lived. And then I realized that it was an occupation and that more than like 5 people got to do it. Because I thought it was like Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Carlin.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and then everyone else was just like a poser. I didn't realize there was many people. The same thing is you only think about the actors you know. You think about Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, and you don't realize there are hundreds and hundreds of actors who are making their livelihoods from acting, but you'll never know their name. And so it's like if you're truly doing it because you love doing it, those things don't matter. And and so I had done other comedies before, like I did improv, I did storytelling, and then when I started doing stand up, finally I was like, oh, I could be really good at this, and I love this, and this fits, and this clicks, and I feel a kinship with other stand up comedians that I did not feel with improvisers or storytellers.
It's like you found your people. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Comics are so fucked up. I love it so much.
Yeah. All very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Points itself.
And just laughing at the darkest shit.
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're the king and queens of too soon, but we now because of the PC bullshit, we just say it to each other. But that's fine because I'm like, oh, this is every conversation I have with a comedian is always usually very.
or sometimes you say it on Twitter and lose 700 followers.
Yeah, but you know
not
what?
a big
Fuck
deal.
them.
Not
You
a big
need
deal.
'em.
Didn't need them anyway. I call that housekeeping.
Yeah.
That's right. Is there any comic or personality that intimidates you?
Not anymore. I've gone up to some very impressive people, and I somehow when I feel scared, I force myself to do shit because I'm like, if you're I really took the feel the fear and do it anyway to heart. And when I'm scared to do something, that's how I know I have to do it. Like I was nervous about the podcast, doing a podcast called Guys We Fuck. That really made me scared. I'm like, fuck it, doing it, you know. So I don't really.
I mean, for me, I feel like number one, when you meet people, it really humanizes them. Like we did a podcast with Doug Stanhope recently, and and that was one that I was like a little
I
bit
was nervous for that, I
about
guess.
that. And then when I met him, I was like, no, he's just a man, you
Yeah.
know. And the great thing about comics is no matter how famous comics are, they usually always have terrible self-esteem. So I was in a room with this person who is legendary, a much better comic than I'll ever be. I think that's safe to say. And I was like, I am more confident in myself than Doug Stanhope, and that's so weird.
Yeah.
And it's just a really strange feeling to have. And then I mean, other than him, I think David Tell will always make me a little bit nervous. I also have like a huge crush on him, so that doesn't make things easier. But just brilliant. I'll always feel nervous if he ever sees me do stand up. I'll always feel nervous talking to him. I'll always just feel nervous in his presence. I think that's a common feeling for comedians though, because he's like the comics comic.
For sure. But you guys have nothing to worry about because you're kicking ass.
Or
Like,
everything to worry about.
Yeah,
'cause
which
I'm a
one is
Jew.
it?
My very first stand-up set, I actually ended up opening for Jeff Ross.
Holy shit!
He was trying out his jokes for the Justin Bieber roast.
Nice.
So I blew. It was absolutely terrible. I went on some, ridiculous rant of some sort for three minutes.
Oh
and
no!
then,
It
Always
didn't go
good to
anywhere.
start with the
And,
rant.
Yeah.
and then it sort of melted into a Dr. Evil thing.
Oh,
and I don't know what was
whoa.
happening with that.
This
then
sounds
he took out his
comically
skin like
bad.
cat.
It was pretty amazingly
Hairless cat.
terrible. And so then I didn't even know that he was there. He came up and he's like, give this guy another round of applause. He was pretty awful. It was like-
Well, when I
but
first,
he's such a cool guy.
I love that I love that he was honest though, because
I love that.
I
yeah.
think it's like that was a really great and accurate representation and introduction to stand up for someone. Like, so it's like the fact that you are still in the game, like you're meant to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pulled up on stage trying to go to the bathroom at the Comedy Cellar by Jeff Ross and David Tell roasting the audience, and Jeff Ross looks at me. He's like, "Who are you? You're cute." And it come up. This is years ago. I was only into stand up a couple years at that point, and he goes, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm a stand up comedian." He's like, "Okay, great. Tell a joke." And I did the wrong thing of like, okay, so when you're like on the subway, and I really just tried hard instead of
Sure.
making fun of it. And David Tell was on the right of me. He goes, "Hey, it's hard up here, okay? It's hard." And then Jeff Ross was on the other side going, "You fucking suck. You should kill yourself. You're really bad. I hope you quit." And that made me feel so good because I'm like, ugh, it's okay. I'm bombing, I'm blowing it, but like, that's hilarious.
Like
could-
when you're bombing, there's
yeah,
no way to.
and it's
Absolutely.
respectful to be honest about that. And so
Right.
Jeff Ross is one of those few people that can truly do it, and people just take it, and it's good.
That's why Simon Cowell's the best judge on singing shows.
No kidding.
Because it's
yeah.
like that's why you're there. You want real
Feedback.
constructive criticism from someone who's in the business. Like he is rich because his opinion is right. It's not an opinion. It's just a fucking fact.
Absolutely.
I love Simon Cowell.
Boom.
He's my idol. I was gonna say, and I was like, and this has been friend or foe.
Yeah.
That's it.
FAUX.
Thanks. Yeah. I would love a shameless plug. I
Do
mean,
you
if
have like
wanna
an outro or?
And
remember-
I put in all that stuff later. Listen,
Be a friend
ladies,
and a foe.
I am.
Wait, no, remember, no one knows. Friend or foe? Friend or foe?
Which one is it? I don't know.
And as we always
Bobby
say
Fischer.
here on Friend or Foe, no one knows.
No one knows what the fuck this show is. That's right. So where can people find you?
You can listen to Guys We Fucked on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, and our website is sorryboutlastnightcomedy.com. It's our duo website where you get our tour dates, where to buy the book, and all the forums of the book.
Our Airbnb is located at.
Yeah, my social security number is 331. And my social media and everything is Krystyna with 2 Y's Hutch.
And mine is Philanthropy Gal.
Excellent.
Bye.
And of course, pick up your book.
Oh yeah, fucked. Being
Fucked.
sexually explorative and self-confident in a world that's rude.
It's available in hardcover in bookstores. The audio version is available if you can't or don't like reading, which, understandable. Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble featured table. However you like to do
And
it.
if it's not on that table, you go upstairs to the sex section, you put all those books on the front fucking table.
That's right.
Do.
And of course, you can find this show all across social media at Friend or Foe Pod. That's FAUX, of course. And you can find me, Devlin Wilder, across all social media at Devlin Wilder. That's DEVLINWILDER.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Guys, this has been Friend or Foe. No one knows.
Thank you so much.
Visit jabberjawmedia.com for more shows like this one.